This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. It's time for my final grades for the Cleveland Browns coaching staff, GM, and everybody else this year. What do I think of the job they've done? If you've been watching this channel all year, you wouldn't be surprised at where these grades are going to go and how these grades are going to lean in a more positive direction. But nonetheless, we're going to start, and we're going to start with a overall grade from Andrew Berry, which is going to be an A+. I think Andrew Berry's been doing an excellent job this year. Look, when you have 26% of your salary cap on IR, and you have to find guys to replace 26% of salary cap worth, and you find a way not only to reach your expectations and goals as a football team, but to exceed them and have multiple guys step up, you're doing a great job. Some of the guys that he pulled for in trades were very productive for this team. David Njoku is somebody who he gave a controversial extension to at the time. He's been huge this year. Amari Cooper is somebody he traded for. He's been huge this year. DeJuan Jones stepped up big time in the absence of Jack Conklin. You got guys like DTR and PJ Walker who stepped in the last minute and won you games. Same thing with Joe Flacco, who's been excellent down the stretch for this team. Even Deshaun Watson is much maligned as people have been, and as polarized as people have been on Deshaun Watson. The fact is that the team has won all but one game with Deshaun Watson at the helm this year, 4-1 under him. Some of the best point differential numbers with him at the helm. He's played good football when he was out there too as well. So Andrew Berry, just all the moves. Zadarius Smith is turned into a really good signing. Obo Okoronkwo, JOK investing in him. Same thing with Dalvin Tomlinson, investing in that defensive line, investing in the leadership has helped Jordan Elliott look like a much better player. Guys like Cam Mitchell have stepped up. Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson, just years and years of good work from Andrew Berry, of good talent evaluations, of good draft evaluations, of good free agency evaluations, of good trade evaluations. Years of that work have put together a roster here in Cleveland that has been able to withstand 26% of the salary cap getting injured. It's that deep. It's that good. It's been that great of a job by Andrew Berry, and he deserves all the credit in the world for that. So for that, I'm going to give him an A+. I think he should be up for Executive of the Year, and I think he should win Executive of the Year this year if people are being honest about what they're giving that award for. Nobody has had to do their job more and better than Andrew Berry, and you don't even worry when something pops up on this team because you know Andrew Berry is going to make a decision that's probably going to be right. So Kevin Stefanski gets an A+, 26% of the salary cap on IR this year, and most of those injuries were concentrated on the offensive side of the ball. The Browns had to start 4 different quarterbacks. And keep in mind, it wasn't just 4 different quarterbacks. It was like 6 or 7 different quarterback changes this year. And the Browns end up 11th in total yards on offense. Look, Kevin Stefanski has always had his critics in Cleveland because every head coach has their critics, right? Bill Belichick has his critics. Mike Tomlin has his critics. Every head coach that sticks around for more than a couple of years has their critics, and the ones that don't stick around for a couple of years definitely have their critics. Nobody's above criticism at that head coach position. It's kind of just a tradition. We can just used to criticizing the head coach. So yes, was there criticism of Kevin Stefanski during the year? Sure, absolutely. But he's risen above it. He has coached the team, not only coached the team, motivated the team, created an offense that has gotten way more out of it than we expected. And also just the job that he's done adjusting, right? Last year, he had to make some changes. Didn't have the best personnel guys in there. Didn't have the best position coaches. Didn't have the best coordinators. Had to make some changes, make some tough decisions. Had to keep some guys around, had to move some guys around, had to make some changes to himself personally. And I think he did all of that, and he's a better coach because of it. People forget that head coaches, similar to players you like, are capable of growth. A lot of us assume what Kevin Stefanski was in year one, that's going to be what Kevin Stefanski is in year 4. It's just not true. Kevin Stefanski is as capable of growth as anybody else on this roster, and he proved it this year, right? People's complaints about Kevin were, he didn't handle the people stuff well. I think that was always a valid complaint about Kevin Stefanski, that he and his coaching staff were so computer-like at times that it rubbed people the wrong way, and it led to there always being locker room issues or people being unhappy with what they're being asked to do from the coaching staff. So what does Kevin do? He gets guys in the real building who are better at the people stuff, right? Bubba Ventrone, Jim Schwartz. Those are guys who are better at the people stuff than he is. And now he also opens up, right? He's more emotional on the sidelines, more open on the sidelines. He's still Kevin Stefanski at the end of the day, right? He'll give you the hand wave and tell you to F off or whatever it is, but he's more open. He's going to celebrate. He's going to yell at the referees. He's going to do that small stuff that shows people that he does care about the game, and that stuff does matter, and you can see the impact that it's had on this team because this team has refused to quit. This is one of the most impressive coaching jobs, not just this is the most impressive coaching job I've seen in a Cleveland Browns sideline. And quite frankly, that I think most people have seen in a while. I don't know anybody else who could deal with the amount of injuries at the positions that those injuries happen, to the specific players that those injuries has happened, and has a chance to win 12 games at the last part of the season. Don't know who else can say that, but I do know Kevin Stefanski can say that. He should not just be up for Coach of the Year. He should be the favorite and hands down unanimous Coach of the Year award winner. And that would be his second in 4 years, which, hey, once you start to get accolades like that, you become a head coach who gets to withstand a couple blows, and that's how you get stability, right? You get 10 years, 15 years out of head coach, and Kevin looks like he's well on his way onto that track. He's done a tremendous job this year. He was coaching with a ton of pressure on him as well, right? People were coming into this season talking about, hey, if the Browns don't make the playoffs this year, everybody can be gone. Everybody can be fired. We can reset this whole thing. There was a ton of pressure coming into this year. I think Kevin Stefanski has handled that pressure beautifully and has done a great job of not just handling that pressure, but thriving throughout that pressure. The next guy I'm going to say deserves an A++ grade is Jim Schwartz. Took a defense that was not just bad, historically bad, and now they're historically good. Took a defense that struggled to get sacks outside of Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett only has 14 sacks this year. Usually he's sitting at 16. Team has more team sacks than they've had the last couple of years. He's done a great job. Now, I've talked about Jim Schwartz and the great job that I think he's done so much this year that it's hard to come up with new stuff to say. You look at the defensive line, you see the improvement. You look at the young players, you see the improvement. You see the veteran players, you see the improvement, right? Every player at every level of the defense, at every level of experience on the defense has literally gotten better. From the young guys like Jordan Elliott, who looked like he was going to be a camp casualty at the beginning of this season and now has blossomed into a pivotal player for this team. You could say the same thing for Alex Wright, who, again, we were like, hey, I don't know where we're going to put him. And now he's one of the pivotal players, to guys that you signed like Obo Okoronkwo, who turned himself into one of the more pivotal players. I believe he has 4.5 sacks this season, just really turning them out. Just good players, good young players, guys like Grant Delpit, who's figured it out, guys like Martin Emerson, who continues to take steps, guys like Greg Newsome, who continue to take steps, guys like Denzel Ward, who are established veteran players who are playing the best football of their career. Same thing can be said for Myles Garrett as well. You can look at a guy like JOK, another young player that Jim Schwartz has really figured out what to do with, has developed him in the right direction, and has gotten a lot out of. And then you got the ultra young guys like Ronnie Hickman, who he's coached into stepping up and taking advantage of the opportunity that's in front of him. DeAnthony Bell, who he's gotten a lot out of. And you can just see the overall improvement and the talent that this team naturally had, and how much of a difference just that side of the ball being well coached by a veteran coach mattered. made a huge difference. And that's why this Browns defense has made the leap that they have made. They weren't just going from worst to first. They were historically bad last year. They were an embarrassment to talk about, almost a joke. A flat out joke to talk about defensively. And now they're not just one of the best defenses in the NFL. You can argue they're as good as any defense in the last 10 years has been, which is really saying something. The next coach we're going to talk about is Bubba Ventrone. And I'm going to give Bubba Ventrone an A. I think the coverage units have been much improved under him. I think the selection of specialists has been much, much better, which I'm going to talk about too. And I think he's converted some guys into strong special teamers, mainly Pierre Strong. I think he's done a great job with him. So much improved coverage. I mean, this is obvious. You just see it in the punt coverage, the punt decisions, the onside kick stuff. The Browns have just been better at that kind of basic stuff that you want to see a special teams coach do well. So that's all well and good. And then I think the selection of specialists is important, right? Because I don't expect Bubba Ventrone to teach kickers how to kick, or to teach punters how to punt, or to teach guys how to hold a football, or to teach guys how to long snap, right? Those specialist positions are specialist positions. And the special teams coach is not really in charge of them, but they do have a say over what guys they feel good about bringing on. And Mike Prefer made some awful decisions. Right? We had bad punters, bad kickers all throughout Mike Prefer's stay here. I think that's what you can kind of boil down what a special team, one of the special teams coach's main responsibility is, hey, being a good voice in the room when it comes to picking some of these specialists. And Bubba Ventrone was in the room when they brought in Dustin Hopkins. That's been a great decision. Even the guy that they brought in this week, Riley Patterson, he was fine. Same thing with the punter that they brought in. He was fine. You just don't see these special teams disasters under Bubba Ventrone that you are used to seeing with Mike Prefer. And that's why I give him an A, because all I want from the special teams is not to be a disaster. If you're not a disaster, I think you're doing a great job. If you are a disaster, I think you're doing a terrible job. That's really where the bar is with me on special teams. And the Browns special teams has not just avoided being a disaster, but they've been a flat out positive part of this ball club. And the Browns are just playing and operating at a very high level right now. So those are my grades. A's across the board. It feels good to give out these A's. I know people are going to say I'm a homer because I'm giving out these A's, but I mean, how can you look at a job that these guys have done despite all of the things that went wrong and give them anything other than that? And if you don't think that, I'm starting to think you might be a hater. But that's my thoughts. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. Everybody have a great day. Have a better night. Peace.